Okay, to begin to plaster, you need to prepare your plaster first. So what you're going to do is take that piece that I pre-cut out of the buckets at your table. You're going to find the open ends, fold those together, and you're going to cut these two at a time. And you're cutting them to be, I don't know, about 1.5 inches, 2 inches across. Be careful not to cut your finger on the back side. So you're going to have a pile of plaster to begin with. And the powder gets really messy. Just let it fall on the table. Make sure you're cutting on top of the table, not on top of the floor. Please do not blow the powder. Just leave it right on the tabletop. Okay, when you're done cutting all the plaster pieces in your bucket, put the cut pieces back in the bucket. And I'm going to be giving your table more pieces to cut, so as soon as all the ones I place in the bucket are cut, then your table is done. Okay, so you're going to begin by plastering on top of this board, and what you need to do is write your name in the middle of the board in marker so I can see it easily. You're going to turn that board over, so that is now the back side. Then at your table you're going to have these bowls that have already been used for plaster, and they should be filled half full of water, and you should be able to spread those out between the table group so everybody can easily reach a bowl. So the way to plaster, you dip one piece at a time in the bowl. You want to try to hold it flat so it's not wrinkling up before you put it on your board. And then you're going to smooth that out on the board. You need to have your fingers filling in all the holes of that plaster, and you also want to fold a little bit behind the board so that it's locking the board on the inside. And then I'm going to get another piece, dip that in the plaster. I'm going to overlap that just a little bit from the first one. And I'm going to make sure that I have plenty of water on my fingers to fill in the holes. You should not see little tiny holes if you did this correctly. And I'm going to proceed to fill in my entire board. Overlap the next piece just slightly, get your hands wet, and smooth out the holes. Then fold a piece behind. And it's okay if they change directions. If you notice, I don't have a big puddle of water on my board, just enough to smooth away the little dots in the plaster, but I have a gap right there, so I'm going to need to make my next piece overlap that. And I'm making sure I fold a little bit behind. Okay, this is why you don't want a piece too big, because it doesn't fit in the bowl easily and it's difficult to hold and keep it from folding before you can lay that down flat. So I had a hole right there, so I'm going to overlap some and then fold the rest behind. Okay, what you need to make sure you don't do is leave it crumpled up and bumpy, because that's going to dry rock hard. We'll get to that later when we start to build up our 3D pieces, but for now you need to begin with a completely smooth board where all your plaster is nice and smooth. And then I'm actually going to have you take a piece. So right here I've got enough on the back to hold it still, but I don't have enough on this top edge. So I'm going to take a piece and I'm actually going to cut this smaller. I'm going to cut that in half down the middle so it's even skinnier. It's about 1 inch wide. I'm going to set that along that edge. And then I'm going to fold the rest of that back behind. So now this piece got sealed in a little bit more. Then you want to do that all the way around, making sure that all those edges are sealed up really well. Okay, when it's time to stop and clean up, you're going to go put this board on your assigned shelf to dry, lay it flat. And even if you don't finish today, you still have to stop and go put it on your board. You'll finish this next time. Then, for cleanup, you are going to leave this bowl of water at your table and the bucket of plaster at your table and the scissors at your table. All you're going to do is go wash your hands at the sink. Do not be blowing the powder anywhere. And then make sure you hang up your apron before you leave class.